In tonight's news edition, Jordanian Christians join the world in celebrating Christmas Day with prayers for peace and stability. Egypt's new constitution is approved by 63.8% of voters in a two-round referendum. And the summit in Bahrain concludes with Gulf Arab states demanding Iran ends what they called interference in the region. Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. Christians in Jordan celebrate Christmas, which marks the birth of Jesus Christ in Bethlehem. Members of the Christian community performed prayers in all churches across the kingdom and expressed hope that peace and security will continue to prevail in the region and around the world. On this occasion, Prime Minister Abdullah Mansour wished all the Christians in the kingdom a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. At a meeting with representatives of Christian sects in Amman, the Prime Minister conveyed greetings and good wishes of His Majesty to the Christian community in the kingdom and said both Muslims and Christians live in coexistence and harmony. Mansour added that all Jordanians should work together to serve the homeland and its citizens and preserve Jordan's unity and its social fabric. Welcoming the Prime Minister, Latin Bishop of Jordan, Maroun Laham, thanked Mansour for his gesture and expressed the Christian community's loyalty to the Hashemite throne. Deputizing for His Majesty the King, Foreign Minister Nasser Joudeh joined Christmas celebrations last night in the West Bank city of Bethlehem. Joudeh wished Christians around the world a Merry Christmas and joined Palestinian officials at the Church of Nativity for Christmas Midnight Mass, the culmination of the celebrations. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas welcomed Foreign Minister Nasser Joudeh and discussed regional developments, especially peace efforts. The minister conveyed greetings of His Majesty the King to President Abbas and the Palestinian people on the occasion of Christmas and the New Year. Joudeh reaffirmed Jordan's support of the Palestinians to restore their legitimate rights and establish their independent state with East Jerusalem as its capital. The foreign minister stressed Jordan's rejection of Israeli unilateral actions, including settlement activities which undermine the chance of achieving peace. The Palestinian president valued the king's support of the Palestinians to establish their independent state. The foreign minister highlighted the role of His Majesty the King in preserving and protecting the holy sites in Jerusalem, including Al-Haram al-Sharif and Al-Aqsa Mosque. During a visit to the Haram compound in occupied Jerusalem, accompanied by officials from the Jerusalem Awqaf Department, the minister said that the holy city will continue to receive all attention and care from the Hashemites, who have always been keen to preserve the city and its Arab identity. Thousands of Christians from all over the world packed Manger Square in Bethlehem to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ in the ancient West Bank town where He was born. Celebrations also took place in Rome, where Pope Benedict XVI led Christmas Eve Mass in St. Peter's Basilica. Raad Btoush has more on the festivities in this report.
Amid a world troubled by wars and calamities comes Christmas. Tranquility and calm prevailed over Bethlehem, the birthplace of Jesus Christ, as masses of tourists and pilgrims flocked to celebrate the joyous occasion. Celebrations in the holy city kicked off under bright, sunny skies with marching bands and festivities. First-time visitors were excited to visit the holy city.
Seeing everything was so surreal to think that, you know, that's where Jesus had walked, that's where He was born, or even who all's walked there, like the history of it.
I went in and I think I found what I was looking for, just to see the church where Christ was born for the first time.
Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem Fuad Atwal, who led Christmas Eve's midnight mass, continued the celebrations with a holy procession to the city and expressed his support for the birth of a Palestinian state. In the Vatican, Pope Benedict XVI urged the people of the world to continue the pursuit of peace even in the most difficult situations. Pope Benedict used the biblical analogy of the good soil to underscore his view that the hope represented by Christmas should never die.
This good earth exists, and today too. In 2012, from this earth truth has sprung up. Consequently, there is hope in the world, a hope in which we can trust, even at most difficult times and in the most difficult situations.
The pontiff made his point of world unity even clearer by reading his Christmas greetings in 65 languages, including Arabic and Hebrew. Rad Btush, News at 10.
Egypt's new constitution has been approved by 63.8% of voters in a two-round referendum. The result, which followed votes held on the 15th and 22nd of this month, matched an earlier unofficial tally. The judge of the Egyptian Supreme Election Committee told a news conference they have seriously investigated all the complaints that they have received. The final official turnout was 39.9%. In Bahrain, the two-day summit of the Saudi-led Gulf Cooperation Council (GCC) ended, highlighting the demands of 6 Gulf Arab states for Iran to end its interference with their affairs. Bahraini Foreign Minister Khalid bin Ahmed bin Mohammed Al Khalifa told reporters Iran posed a very serious threat. However, Tehran denies trying to subvert Saudi Arabia and its Gulf neighbors. Khalifa also expressed his country's backing for the United Arab Emirates, which claims 3 islands administered by Iran. The communique issued today by the summit called on the international community to bring a swift end to the killing and violations of international law in Syria. The statement also called on the international community to provide all forms of urgent humanitarian aid for the Syrian people.
A very serious threat from many ways. There's a political threat by, as you said, lots of meddling in the affairs of the GCC states, and we stated that clearly. There is an environmental threat coming to our region from the technology used in some of the nuclear facilities. And there is, of course, the looming threats always regarding the nuclear program of a conflict that can erupt at any moment. So the threat level is quite high here. But we are ready to face any circumstances that would require us to take any action. So we're confident about that.
A senior member of the Syrian opposition has said that the series of meetings being held by international peace envoy Lakhdar Brahimi on his visit to Syria could be fruitful. Brahimi will hold more talks with opposition leaders over the coming days, having already spoken to President Bashar al-Assad. The Arab League envoy said his talks with Assad dealt with possible solutions to the Syrian crisis. Brahimi's plan for an end to the Syrian crisis centers on a transitional government, but he has so far remained vague on the details. The opposition, however, are rejecting any solution other than Assad stepping down from power. A social media website showed what appeared to be Syrian rebels taking control in central Hama province. The rebels were seen pushing forward in Damascus suburbs and finally winning over the town of Harim near the Turkish border after weeks of fighting. There was no pause in the bloodshedding as international envoy Lakhdar Brahimi pursued mediation efforts in Damascus. Brahimi met with some dissidents who are tolerated by the Syrian regime but rejected by the mainstream opposition. At least 6 militants and 2 soldiers are killed in Yemen in fighting near a damaged oil pipeline east of the capital, Sana'a. Separately, gunmen and bombers targeted 3 senior military officers and the transport minister in a series of attacks in the capital as well. In another incident, 2 gunmen riding a motorbike shot dead an advisor to the Yemeni Minister of Defense outside the ministry's offices. Fighting also took place in Ma'rib province when government troops tried to secure the pipeline and repair damage inflicted last month by local militants. Venezuelan President Hugo Chávez's condition has improved slightly after a cancer operation in Cuba. Chavez has not been heard from in 2 weeks following a fourth operation for an unspecified type of cancer in the pelvic region. The government has said he suffered post-operatory complications, including unexpected bleeding and a lung infection, but offered few details about his actual condition. We get more details in this Reuters report.
Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez is improving after surgery, according to Vice President Nicolas Maduro. Chavez, seen here departing Venezuela for surgery in Cuba 2 weeks ago, has not been heard from following a fourth operation for an unspecified cancer in the pelvic region. The government has said he suffered post-operatory complications, including unexpected bleeding and a lung infection, but offered few details about his actual condition. But Maduro said he'd had a 20-minute phone conversation with Chavez, and the president was walking and exercising as part of his treatment. He also sent a special Christmas greeting to the children of Venezuela and a Merry Christmas to our nation and all the peoples of the Americas, the Caribbean and brother nations, Maduro said. In a speech to the nation before he left for surgery, Chavez named Maduro his successor, should he become incapacitated.
It seems that Santa Claus has traveled a long way from the North Pole as he was seen heading towards Sydney, Australia on Christmas Eve. It's summer down under, and with temperatures soaring, Santa sweltered as he replaced his sleigh for what else? A surfboard. The summer heat didn't seem to bother Santa or the spectators since he handed children the perfect gift of frozen ice pops. The surfing Santa has become an Australian icon, appearing each year just in time for Christmas. The Vendée Globe Round the World race leaders are still making good progress as they chase each other across the South Pacific towards South America. Leader Makef, skippered by Francois Gabart, has just 11 nautical miles ahead of Banco Populaire, and the leaders are making more than 18 knots and are about 1/3 of their way across the Pacific Ocean. Some skippers, determined not to miss out on the Christmas festivities, took the time to dress up as Father Christmas and sent video messages showing them delivering presents aboard their boats. Rafael Nadal's comeback from a long-term knee injury has been put on hold by an illness that has ruled him out of an exhibition tournament in Abu Dhabi. The Spaniard has not played since June when he suffered a shock defeat in the second round of Wimbledon by Czech Lukas Rosol. The tournament in Abu Dhabi, which he won twice in 2010-2011, was to be his return to action after missing the Olympics, the US Open, the Davis Cup, which Spain lost to the Czech Republic. Despite Nadal's withdrawal, the tournament can still boast world #1 and defending champions Novak Djokovic, as well as 4 other players in the top 10, Andy Murray, David Ferrer, Janko Tipsarevic and Thomas Berdych. Finally, a look at the weather. Cold tonight in most regions with low-altitude clouds and northwesterly moderate winds. Tomorrow it will be relatively cold with low-altitude clouds and moderate winds. The Gulf of Aqaba should expect a relatively cold night and fair tomorrow with northerly moderate winds picking up at times and calm seas. The weatherman cautions against poor visibility caused by fog in the hilly areas and frost formation in the Badia and eastern plains, especially in the early morning hours. Next are the lows and highs for tonight and tomorrow. To end the news, here are the main points once again. Jordanian Christians joined the world in celebrating Christmas Day with prayers for peace and stability. Egypt's new constitution is approved by 63.8% of voters in a two-round referendum. And the summit in Bahrain concludes with Gulf Arab states demanding Iran ends what they called interference in the region. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news. I'm Nancy Khair. Thank you for watching and have a good night.